The Cleveland Browns are coming off a massive win over the Baltimore Ravens, 33-31, to put them at a 6-3 record through 10 weeks of the season. And they are currently tied for second place in their division with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in the game versus the Ravens, they started off horribly. Deshaun Watson on the second play of the game threw a pick six, and within the first 5 minutes of the game, they were already down 14-0. Then in the third quarter, Odell Beckham Jr. had a 40-yard reception for a touchdown, and the Browns were down by 15. But their defense stepped up, and so did Deshaun Watson. In the first half, Deshaun Watson completed 6 of 20 passes, and in the second half, he was 14 of 14 passing. And their defense was great as well, having 2 interceptions on Lamar Jackson, and one of them was a pick six. But on that pick six, Dustin Hopkins missed the game-tying extra point. But luckily, the Browns were able to kick the walk-off field goal and win. And so far this season, they have had the best defense in the NFL. They are number 1 in yards per game allowed, with 242.7 yards per game, which is 31 yards less than any other team in the NFL. And also, they have allowed the least amount of passing yards with 1,360, and are 4th in sacks with 30. And a huge part of that defensive success they have had is from Myles Garrett, who is currently the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. So far this season, Myles Garrett has had 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 28 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and a block kick. And with still 8 games left in the season, I could see him breaking the single season sack record of 22.5 sacks. But even besides Myles Garrett, this defensive line has been great. The last few weeks, Dalvin Tomlinson has been amazing, which 2 games ago versus the Cardinals, he had 2.5 sacks. And Jordan Elliott has 2.5 sacks and a blocked field goal. And Zadarius Smith have 2.5 sacks as well. And their safety, Grant Delpit, has been having a great breakout season. He has 46 solo tackles and 59 total tackles, half of a sack, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, and 1 interception. And Denzel Ward is having another amazing season. He has 26 total tackles, a TFL, 9 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. But I just love how much pressure this defensive line gets every play. It seems like there's a defensive lineman always in the backfield every play. And they just never had that last season with Joe Woods. And they have been getting lots of turnovers. They have 9 interceptions and 6 fumble recoveries. But if this team wants to contend for the Super Bowl this season, their offense needs to step up. The offense hasn't been horrible, but it hasn't looked that good. A lot of it could be Deshaun Watson being injured for most of the start of the season. But when Watson is on the field, he hasn't been playing very good. But he has been playing better of lately. On the season, in 6 games, he has a completion percentage of 61.4%, 1,115 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And he has had 142 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. But in this offense, it seems like they are very underutilizing their receivers. Just for example, in 7 games, Donovan Peoples-Jones had 8 receptions for 97 yards before they traded him. But it seems like Deshaun Watson has a very good connection with Amari Cooper, and they have looked great together. Cooper right now has 41 receptions for 715 yards and 2 touchdowns. And their second leading receiver is David Njoku with 38 receptions for 377 yards and 2 touchdowns. But this running game has been very good, even without Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford has 124 carries for 532 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Kareem Hunt has also been very good at getting in the end zone. He has 228 yards and 6 touchdowns. But I'm shocked this team has been that good running the ball without Nick Chubb. Like, they're second in the NFL in rushing yards per game with 154.9 yards. But this next game is very important versus the Steelers. They have already lost to the Steelers this season 26-22 in week 2. And in that game, the Browns were winning late in the 4th quarter, but Deshaun Watson fumbled and TJ Watt scored a touchdown. But whoever wins this game will be second in the division. But if the Browns win and the Bengals beat the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, the Browns could be first in the AFC North. And the Browns don't really have too hard of a schedule left. Their hardest games left is probably the Steelers, the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Bengals, which are all very winnable. But with how elite their defense has been this season, I think this team could definitely make the Super Bowl. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.